Have you ever stopped to wonder what it truly takes to become the best version of yourself? Is there a secret formula, a set of practices, or a way of thinking that could unlock your full potential? In a world often consumed by chaos, endless distractions, and external pressures, it's easy to feel disconnected from who we are at our core. But what if I told you that the key to transformation isn't about chasing perfection or outward success, but about cultivating habits rooted in mindfulness, compassion, and self-awareness? These timeless teachings, inspired by Buddhist principles, offer a roadmap to a better, more peaceful you. Today, we're diving into 12 transformative habits, habits practiced by Buddhist monks and modern thinkers alike, that have the power to reshape your mind, uplift your spirit, and transform your life. But here's the twist: these habits are not limited to temples or meditation halls. They are practical, actionable, and deeply relevant to the challenges we face in everyday life. Through this exploration, we'll journey into stories of personal growth, examples that hit close to home, and reflections that challenge the way we see ourselves and the world. By the end of this journey, you'll be armed with tools to cultivate resilience, clarity, and inner peace, one habit at a time. Ready to embark on the path of self-discovery? Let's begin. 1. Start your day with mindfulness. The way we begin our day often sets the tone for everything that follows. Buddhist teachings emphasize the transformative power of mindfulness, a practice of being fully present in the moment, free from distraction or judgment. Starting your day with mindfulness is not just a way to prepare for the challenges ahead, it is a declaration that you intend to live your day with purpose, clarity, and peace. In today's fast-paced world, our mornings are often consumed by a flurry of tasks, checking notifications, responding to messages, or rushing to get ready. But what if, instead of starting the day in a state of chaos, you chose stillness? Imagine waking up and allowing yourself to savor the simplicity of just being alive. You don't need an elaborate ritual, even a few minutes of intentional presence can have profound effects. The power of a mindful morning. In Buddhism, the practice of mindfulness, sati, is foundational. It is the first step in the Noble Eightfold Path and a gateway to inner peace. A mindful morning is not about doing more but about being more aware, more centered, more connected to yourself and the world around you. One powerful way to begin is through mindful breathing. As you wake up, instead of immediately reaching for your phone or thinking about your to-do list, sit up gently, close your eyes, and take a moment to focus on your breath. Inhale deeply through your nose, feeling the air fill your lungs, and exhale slowly through your mouth, releasing any tension. Do this for 5 breaths, paying full attention to the sensation of each inhale and exhale. Another mindful practice is to set an intention for the day. This is a deeply personal process that aligns your actions with your values. Ask yourself, what do I want to cultivate today? Your intention could be kindness, patience, gratitude, or simply the resolve to approach challenges with a calm mind. By anchoring your day in this way, you create a mental compass that guides your thoughts and actions. Mindful rituals to ground your day. Mindful tea or coffee. As you prepare your morning tea or coffee, treat it as a sacred ritual. Notice the aroma of the tea leaves or coffee beans, the sound of the boiling water, the warmth of the cup in your hands. When you take your first sip, pause. Taste it fully. Feel its warmth spread through your body. This simple act can transform an ordinary moment into one of profound awareness. Gratitude practice. Before leaving your bed, take a moment to reflect on 3 things you're grateful for. These could be as simple as the comfort of your bed, the health of your body, or the opportunity of a new day. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's abundant in your life, setting a positive tone for the day ahead. Mindful stretching. Incorporating gentle stretches or yoga into your morning can awaken your body and connect your mind to your physical sensations. With each stretch, breathe deeply and feel the tension leaving your body. This practice not only enhances physical flexibility but also creates a bridge between mindfulness and movement. Why mindfulness matters in the morning. A mindful morning is not just about calmness, it is about empowerment. When you begin your day with mindfulness, you are less likely to be swept away by external pressures or internal anxieties. Instead, you approach your tasks with clarity and a sense of control. Mindfulness helps you respond to life's challenges thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Moreover, research shows that mindfulness reduces stress, enhances focus, and improves emotional resilience. From a Buddhist perspective, it also nurtures the seeds of wisdom and compassion within you, allowing you to interact with the world from a place of understanding rather than reactivity. A personal reflection. I once struggled with chaotic mornings. My alarm would go off, and within minutes I'd be checking emails, rushing to get ready, and mentally bracing for a stressful day. But everything changed when I began incorporating mindfulness into my mornings. The simple act of pausing to breathe and reflect transformed my entire mindset. I realized that starting the day with calmness allowed me to carry that calmness into everything I did. Practical example. Tomorrow morning, try this exercise. 1. When you wake up, sit on the edge of your bed with your feet touching the floor. Close your eyes. 2. Take 5 deep breaths. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4, hold for a count of 2, and exhale through your mouth for a count of 6. 3. Place your hand on your heart and silently say, "Today, I choose peace." 4. Before moving on to your next activity, take a moment to smile, even if it feels small. This simple gesture sets a positive tone for your day. Reflection questions. How do you typically start your mornings? What would change in your life if you began each day with even 5 minutes of mindfulness? What intention will you set for tomorrow morning? 2. Cultivate gratitude every day. Gratitude is one of the most profound ways to transform your perspective on life. It shifts your focus from what you lack to what you already have, bringing a sense of abundance and contentment. In Buddhism, gratitude is not just a fleeting feeling, it's a practice, a mindset, and a way of being. When you cultivate gratitude, you nurture a heart full of joy and appreciation, even amid life's challenges. In the words of the Buddha, "Let us rise up and be thankful, for if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little, and if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick, and if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So, let us all be thankful." This simple yet profound teaching reminds us that even in the most difficult moments, there is always something to be grateful for. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to the negative emotions that often cloud our minds, such as anger, envy, or discontent. The Buddhist perspective on gratitude. Gratitude in Buddhism often begins with recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings. The Buddha taught that no one exists independently, we are all supported by countless conditions and people. From the food we eat to the air we breathe, our lives are sustained by the efforts and kindness of others. When we reflect on this truth, gratitude naturally arises. For example, consider the simple act of eating a meal. A bowl of rice is not just rice, it is the result of the farmer's hard work, the sun's warmth, the rain that nourished the soil, and even the transport workers who brought it to your table. By acknowledging these connections, you develop a deeper appreciation for the small things in life. Daily gratitude practices. Gratitude doesn't need to be complicated or time-consuming. Incorporating small, intentional acts into your daily routine can gradually reshape your mindset. Here are a few simple yet impactful ways to practice gratitude. Gratitude journal. At the end of each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. These don't need to be monumental, something as simple as a kind word from a friend, the warmth of sunlight, or the taste of a good meal can make the list. Over time, this practice trains your mind to focus on the positive aspects of your life. Gratitude meditation. Dedicate a few minutes of your meditation practice to reflect on what you're grateful for. Begin by closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, and bringing to mind someone or something that has brought joy or support into your life. Visualize this person or situation, and silently say, "Thank you." Feel the warmth of gratitude filling your heart. Expressing gratitude to others. Make it a habit to express your appreciation to the people around you. Whether it's a simple thank you to a coworker or a heartfelt note to a loved one, these small acts of kindness strengthen your relationships and spread positivity. The science behind gratitude. Modern research echoes what Buddhist teachings have long recognized: gratitude has transformative power. Studies show that regularly practicing gratitude can improve mental health, increase resilience, and even enhance physical well-being. People who practice gratitude tend to experience less stress and more happiness, as they are better equipped to find joy in life's everyday moments. A story of gratitude in action. There's a Zen story of an old monk who lived in a small hut in the forest. One night, a thief broke into his home, only to find that the monk owned nothing of value. Seeing the thief's disappointment, the monk said, "You have traveled so far to see me, I cannot let you leave empty-handed. Here, take my clothes." The thief, bewildered but grateful, took the clothes and left. The monk, sitting naked under the moonlight, whispered to himself, "Poor fellow, I wish I could have given him this beautiful moon." This story illustrates the profound level of gratitude and generosity that can arise from a mind free of attachment. The monk, despite being robbed, found joy in the beauty of the moonlight and wished to share it. His gratitude was not tied to material possessions but to the wonder of existence itself. Practical example. Tomorrow, try this simple gratitude exercise. 1. Begin your morning with a gratitude meditation. Sit in a comfortable position, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. Reflect on one person who has positively impacted your life. 2. Think about the specific ways they have helped or supported you. Silently thank them for their kindness and compassion. 3. If possible, reach out to this person during the day and let them know how much you appreciate them. Reflection questions. What are 3 things you're grateful for today? How can you bring more gratitude into your daily routine? Who in your life deserves your appreciation, and how can you express it to them? By cultivating gratitude every day, you not only enhance your own happiness but also inspire others to see the beauty in their lives. 3. Embrace impermanence. One of the central teachings in Buddhism is the concept of impermanence, the idea that all things are in a constant state of change. Nothing lasts forever. This truth can be challenging to accept, as human nature often craves stability and permanence. However, embracing impermanence is one of the most liberating practices in the Buddhist path. It allows us to let go of attachment and fear, fostering greater peace and resilience. The Buddhist view on impermanence. In the Buddhist tradition, the word anicca refers to impermanence. It is one of the 3 marks of existence, along with dukkha, suffering, and anatta, non-self. The Buddha taught that all phenomena, whether physical or mental, are transient and fleeting. Everything, from our emotions and thoughts to the seasons and the universe itself, is constantly changing. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, "All conditioned things are impermanent." When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. By understanding the impermanence of life, we realize that even our suffering is temporary. Pain, loss, and difficulty may seem overwhelming in the moment, but they too will pass. Just as moments of joy and success are fleeting, so are moments of hardship. This realization helps us develop a sense of equanimity and acceptance. The pain of attachment. Many of our struggles come from attachment, the desire to hold on to things that are, by their very nature, transient. Whether it's relationships, possessions, achievements, or even our own identity, we often cling to things in an attempt to create a sense of permanence in our lives. This attachment, however, leads to suffering. When things change or disappear, as they inevitably will, we experience grief, loss, and disappointment. The key to overcoming this suffering is to recognize that change is not something to be feared but rather something to be embraced. Living with impermanence. Embracing impermanence doesn't mean passively resigning ourselves to life's transience, but rather understanding that we have the power to respond to change with wisdom and grace. Instead of resisting change, we can approach it with a sense of openness and curiosity. Here are some practical ways to integrate the understanding of impermanence into your life. Practice non-attachment. Begin by recognizing your attachments. These can be as small as an object that holds sentimental value or as significant as a relationship or career. Once you identify these attachments, practice letting go, gently. This doesn't mean abandoning what you love, but rather recognizing that they do not define your happiness. Mindful acceptance of change. When faced with a change, whether positive or negative, take a moment to acknowledge it. Practice mindfulness by observing your thoughts and feelings about the change. Rather than fighting against it, observe how your mind reacts and gently bring it back to the present moment. Celebrate the present moment. Since everything is impermanent, the present moment is all we truly have. Instead of worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, fully immerse yourself in the now. Whether you're enjoying a simple cup of tea, spending time with loved ones, or meditating, savor the moment, knowing it is fleeting and precious. Reflect on mortality. One of the Buddha's teachings involves meditating on death and the impermanence of life. While this may seem morbid, it is actually a powerful way to cultivate gratitude and urgency in living a meaningful life. Reflecting on the finite nature of our existence helps us appreciate the present and live more authentically. A story of impermanence. There's a Zen story about a monk who was traveling with his master. As they walked through the forest, they came upon a river with a strong current. The monk was concerned about crossing, but his master calmly said, "The river is always changing. The water that passes now will never return." The master waded into the river without hesitation, teaching the monk to embrace the flow of life, even when faced with uncertainty. This story highlights the importance of flowing with life rather than resisting it. The river of existence is constantly moving, and each moment is unique. When we stop trying to hold on to things, we can experience life more fully. Practical example. Tomorrow, try this simple practice to embrace impermanence. 1. Pick a situation in your life where you're feeling attached, whether it's a goal, a possession, or even a person. 2. Acknowledge that this situation, like all things, is impermanent. 3. Take a few moments to reflect on the joy and lessons it has brought you, and then gently let go of your attachment to it, knowing that its time will come to an end, just as yours will. By practicing this awareness, you cultivate a deeper sense of peace and resilience, knowing that nothing is permanent, and that's okay. Reflection questions. What are some areas in your life where you experience attachment? How can you begin to let go of these attachments to embrace impermanence? What changes have you resisted in the past, and how might you approach them differently now? Embracing impermanence doesn't mean living in fear of loss or change, it means living with a deeper understanding of the beauty and fragility of life. When we stop trying to cling to the ungraspable, we can experience the fullness of each moment as it is. 4. Cultivate compassion. Compassion is the cornerstone of Buddhist practice. In Buddhism, it is not simply a feeling or emotion but an active, intentional practice of caring for others and wanting to alleviate their suffering. The Buddha taught that to truly understand the nature of suffering, we must develop a deep sense of compassion, for ourselves and others. It is through this compassion that we can transform not only our own lives but also the lives of those around us. The Buddhist view on compassion. In Buddhist teachings, compassion is often referred to as karu. It is the wish for all beings to be free from suffering and the willingness to take action to help alleviate that suffering. The Buddha's compassion was vast, extending to all beings, regardless of their actions or circumstances. This type of compassion is not limited by personal feelings but instead extends universally, seeking the welfare of others with an open heart. In the Buddha Sutra, the Buddha said, "May all beings be happy, may all beings be without disease. May all beings experience the sensation of auspiciousness. May nobody suffer in any way." This is an unconditional and selfless compassion, one that arises from a recognition of our shared humanity and interconnectedness. Compassion as a path to healing. Compassion is not just about feeling empathy for others but actively engaging in the world to help heal the pain of suffering. It begins by understanding the suffering that others experience and allowing ourselves to feel their pain. From this understanding, we can take steps to help, whether through kind words, thoughtful actions, or simply being present. However, cultivating compassion doesn't mean ignoring our own needs. The Buddhist concept of self-compassion teaches us to care for ourselves with the same kindness we offer others. By caring for our own well-being, we create the space to better care for others. It is not a selfish act, but rather a necessary step in being able to give to others without depleting ourselves. The power of loving-kindness meditation. One of the most powerful tools for cultivating compassion in Buddhism is loving-kindness meditation, metta bhavana. This practice involves silently repeating phrases such as, "May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. May I be safe and protected. May I live with ease." Once we have practiced sending these wishes to ourselves, we extend them to others, starting with loved ones, then acquaintances, and finally, even to people we find difficult or challenging. By doing so, we gradually expand our capacity for compassion and unconditional love. Loving-kindness meditation helps us rewire our brain to respond to others with kindness and empathy. Research has shown that regular practice of loving-kindness meditation can significantly reduce stress, increase feelings of social connection, and improve emotional regulation. Compassion in daily life. While meditation is a powerful tool for cultivating compassion, the true test of this practice is how we bring compassion into our daily lives. Compassion isn't just something we practice in a quiet moment of reflection, it must be integrated into our thoughts, speech, and actions as we go about our day. Here are a few ways to cultivate compassion in your everyday life. Practice active listening. One of the most compassionate things you can do for someone is to listen deeply. When someone shares their thoughts or struggles, give them your full attention. Without interrupting or rushing to offer advice, simply listen. This act of empathy can be deeply healing for the other person. Random acts of kindness. Look for small ways to help others throughout your day. Whether it's holding the door open, offering a genuine compliment, or helping a neighbor with a task, these simple gestures create ripples of goodwill in the world. Challenge judgmental thoughts. Notice when you have judgments about others, whether they're based on appearances, behaviors, or assumptions. Practice replacing judgment with curiosity and understanding. Remind yourself that everyone has their own struggles, and their actions often reflect their suffering. Forgive and let go. Compassion also involves forgiveness, not just for others but for yourself. When you hold on to resentment or grudges, you carry the weight of that anger. Letting go of these feelings allows you to move forward with an open heart, free from the burden of bitterness. A story of compassion. There's a well-known story about the Buddha and a woman named Kisagami. Kisagami was grieving the death of her child, and in her sorrow, she went to the Buddha for help. The Buddha told her to bring him a mustard seed from a household where no one had ever died. She went from house to house, but every family had experienced death. She eventually returned to the Buddha, realizing that death is a universal experience. Through this painful realization, Kisagami began to understand the impermanence of life and the shared nature of suffering. In the process, she found peace, as her grief transformed into compassion for all beings who experience loss. This story illustrates how compassion arises from understanding that we are all interconnected in our shared experience of suffering and impermanence. By recognizing the suffering of others, we open our hearts to the possibility of alleviating their pain, even as we also heal our own. Practical example. Here's a simple exercise to cultivate compassion. 1. Begin with yourself. Sit quietly and close your eyes. Think about a difficulty or challenge you are currently facing. Imagine offering yourself kindness and understanding, as if you were offering it to a dear friend. 2. Extend your compassion. Once you have nurtured yourself with compassion, extend this feeling to someone else. It could be a loved one, a colleague, or even someone you find difficult. Picture them surrounded by light and peace, free from suffering. 3. Repeat daily. make it a habit to practice loving-kindness meditation, even for a few minutes each day. The more you practice, the more natural it will become to respond to others with empathy and care. Reflection questions. When was the last time you practiced compassion, either for yourself or for others? How can you be more compassionate in your day-to-day interactions? What would happen if you made compassion a central part of your life? By cultivating compassion, we not only ease the suffering of others but also nurture our own hearts. It is a profound way to connect with the world and transform our own suffering into joy, peace, and understanding. 5. Develop mindfulness. Mindfulness is a core teaching in Buddhism, often referred to as sati in Pali or smrti in Sanskrit. It is the practice of being fully aware and present in each moment, without distraction or judgment. The Buddha taught that mindfulness is the key to seeing the world clearly, understanding the true nature of our thoughts, emotions, and actions, and ultimately achieving freedom from suffering. The importance of mindfulness. In Buddhism, mindfulness is not just a practice but a way of life. It is about cultivating an acute awareness of our present experience, whether that's the thoughts in our mind, the sensations in our body, or the environment around us. When we are mindful, we are able to respond to life with clarity and wisdom rather than reacting from impulse or habit. Mindfulness allows us to see things as they truly are, without distortion or attachment. The Buddha taught that our suffering arises when we cling to things as permanent, when in fact everything is impermanent. Through mindfulness, we gain insight into this impermanence and learn to live with a sense of ease and acceptance. Mindfulness and the Four Foundations. Buddhist mindfulness practice is often framed through the lens of the four foundations of mindfulness, which are 1. Mindfulness of the body. This involves paying attention to the physical sensations of the body. It can include practices like body scans, where you move your attention slowly through different parts of the body, noticing sensations without judgment. This helps ground us in the present moment and connects us with our physical experience. 2. Mindfulness of feelings. This refers to observing the emotions and feelings that arise within us. By being aware of how we feel in any given moment, we can avoid being carried away by strong emotions. Instead of reacting, we can notice the feeling and simply let it pass, as all feelings are transient. 3. Mindfulness of the mind. This involves observing our thoughts without attachment. It is about understanding the nature of our thinking patterns, noticing whether they are helpful or harmful, and learning to redirect them when necessary. Instead of getting lost in our thoughts, we observe them from a place of detachment and awareness. 4. Mindfulness of mental objects. This refers to the awareness of the various mental phenomena that arise in our minds, such as our perceptions, beliefs, and ideas. It encourages us to notice when we are attached to or identifying with particular concepts, helping us to break free from limiting beliefs and judgments. How mindfulness can transform your life. Mindfulness can radically transform how we approach life, helping us become more present, peaceful, and resilient. Here's how developing mindfulness can benefit us. Reducing stress. Mindfulness helps reduce stress by teaching us to remain calm and centered, no matter what's happening around us. When we stop overthinking or worrying about the future, we are better able to handle the present moment with clarity and peace. Improving focus. Through regular mindfulness practice, we train our minds to focus on one thing at a time. This can lead to improved productivity and greater efficiency in daily tasks, as we stop multitasking and give our full attention to what's in front of us. Enhancing emotional intelligence. Mindfulness allows us to observe our emotions without being overwhelmed by them. This gives us greater emotional intelligence, enabling us to manage our reactions and respond with compassion, rather than acting out of anger, frustration, or fear. Building resilience. Mindfulness also helps build resilience by teaching us to accept whatever comes our way, without resistance. We learn that difficulties and challenges are a natural part of life, and instead of reacting with anxiety or fear, we can meet them with equanimity. The role of meditation in mindfulness. The most direct way to cultivate mindfulness is through meditation. Buddhist mindfulness meditation typically involves sitting quietly, focusing on the breath, and observing whatever arises in the mind. This practice helps develop concentration, insight, and awareness, allowing us to see our thoughts and feelings clearly. A common meditation technique is breath awareness meditation, where you focus on the sensation of the breath entering and leaving your body. If your mind starts to wander, you gently bring your attention back to the breath without judgment. This simple practice builds mindfulness and strengthens the mind's ability to stay present. Over time, the skills developed in meditation can be carried over into daily life. As we practice mindfulness in meditation, we become more aware of our thoughts, emotions, and actions in real-life situations. We may notice ourselves reacting more thoughtfully rather than impulsively, experiencing less stress, and feeling more connected to the world around us. Practical example: mindfulness in everyday life. Here are a few ways you can bring mindfulness into your daily activities. Mindful eating: instead of rushing through meals or eating mindlessly, try to be fully present during each bite. Pay attention to the taste, texture, and aroma of your food. This not only enhances the enjoyment of your meal but also helps you develop a deeper appreciation for the nourishment it provides. Mindful walking: whether you're walking to work, to the store, or just around the house, try to be fully aware of each step. Notice the sensation of your feet touching the ground, the rhythm of your movements, and the sounds around you. This practice can help ground you in the present moment and bring a sense of calm to your day. Mindful listening: when talking with others, practice truly listening to what they are saying, without planning your response or thinking about something else. Focus on their words, tone of voice, and body language. This helps deepen your connections with others and fosters empathy. Mindful breathing: whenever you feel stressed or overwhelmed, take a few moments to focus on your breath. Breathe in deeply and exhale slowly, paying attention to the sensation of the breath entering and leaving your body. This practice can quickly bring you back to the present moment and help you regain a sense of calm. A story of mindfulness. There's a beautiful story from the Dhammapada about a monk who was walking along the road with a fellow practitioner. The monk was deep in meditation, walking mindfully with each step. The other monk, noticing how focused and peaceful he was, asked, "Master, what is it like to be truly mindful?" The master paused, looked at a nearby stream, and said, "Do you see how the water flows without stopping? It flows constantly, but it remains still, no matter how fast it moves. This is mindfulness, the ability to flow through life, staying present, without being disturbed by the currents of thoughts and emotions." This story highlights the beauty and power of mindfulness. It shows us that mindfulness isn't about stopping life or avoiding difficulties. It's about moving through life with awareness and calm, no matter what is happening around us. Reflection questions. When was the last time you felt fully present in the moment? How can mindfulness help you cope with the challenges you're currently facing? In what areas of your life could you practice being more mindful? Mindfulness is a transformative practice that can help us navigate the ups and downs of life with greater ease and awareness. By cultivating mindfulness, we gain insight into the nature of our thoughts and feelings, and we develop the ability to respond with clarity, compassion, and wisdom. 6. Practice compassion and loving kindness. In Buddhism, compassion, known as karu, and loving kindness, or metta, are two fundamental qualities that lead to the transformation of the heart and mind. The Buddha emphasized that developing these qualities is essential for living a life of peace, wisdom, and harmony. These practices are not just about being kind to others, but also about cultivating a kind and loving attitude toward oneself. The importance of compassion and loving kindness. Compassion is the ability to empathize with others' suffering and take action to alleviate it. Loving kindness, on the other hand, is the wish for others to be happy and free from suffering. These two qualities are intimately connected, and together, they form the foundation of a meaningful and fulfilling life. The Buddha taught that all beings, regardless of their background, deserve our compassion and kindness. When we cultivate these qualities, we not only help others but also free ourselves from the negative emotions that bind us, such as anger, resentment, and fear. The four immeasurables. To better understand the practices of compassion and loving-kindness, it's helpful to explore the four immeasurables, also called the Brahmaviharas. These are four qualities that, when cultivated, lead to a heart full of love, compassion, and wisdom. 1. Loving-kindness, metta. This is the practice of wishing all beings happiness and well-being, without any discrimination. It is the intention to offer unconditional love and care to others, regardless of their actions or circumstances. 2. Compassion, kara. Compassion involves recognizing the suffering of others and wishing to alleviate it. It is the deep empathy that arises when we truly understand that all beings, like ourselves, experience pain and hardship. 3. Sympathetic joy, mudita. Sympathetic joy is the ability to feel joy and happiness for others' successes and good fortune. Instead of feeling envy or jealousy, we celebrate the happiness of others as our own. 4. Equanimity, upekkha. Equanimity is the quality of being balanced and unaffected by the ups and downs of life. It's the ability to stay peaceful and undisturbed, regardless of external circumstances. It allows us to offer love and compassion without being attached to specific outcomes or expectations. By practicing the four immeasurables, we train ourselves to view the world with a heart that is open, generous, and full of love, which ultimately leads to deeper peace and joy. How compassion and loving-kindness benefit us. While the benefits of compassion and loving-kindness are clear in terms of improving our relationships with others, these qualities also bring profound benefits to our own well-being. Emotional healing, practicing compassion helps us heal from past wounds. When we offer compassion to others, we create space for healing within ourselves. It allows us to release anger, resentment, and grudges that we may have carried for years. Improved relationships, compassion and loving-kindness improve our relationships with others. When we treat others with care and understanding, they are more likely to reciprocate, leading to stronger, more harmonious relationships. Mental clarity, as we let go of negative emotions such as anger and hatred, we clear space for mental clarity and peace. Compassion and loving-kindness help us release the grip of judgment and allow us to see others through the lens of empathy and understanding. Increased resilience, in times of hardship, practicing compassion allows us to face challenges with a heart that is steady and unshaken. Compassion gives us the strength to bear difficulties with grace and to continue moving forward, even in the face of adversity. How to practice compassion and loving-kindness. 1. Loving-kindness meditation. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate loving-kindness is through meditation. Begin by sitting comfortably and focusing on your breath. Then, silently repeat phrases such as, "Oh, may I be happy. Oh, may I be free from suffering. Oh, may I be safe and protected. Oh, may I live with ease." Once you've generated a sense of loving-kindness for yourself, extend these wishes to others. Start with loved ones, then expand to acquaintances, strangers, and even those you may have difficulty with. Finally, extend these wishes to all beings, wishing them happiness and peace. 2. Acts of kindness. Compassion and loving-kindness are not just abstract concepts but should be expressed through action. Look for opportunities to help others, whether it's listening to a friend in need, offering a smile to a stranger, or lending a hand to someone struggling. Small acts of kindness have a ripple effect, creating a more loving and compassionate world. 3. Forgiveness. To cultivate compassion, it is important to practice forgiveness, both toward others and ourselves. When we hold on to resentment or anger, we are weighed down by negative emotions. By letting go of grudges, we free ourselves to offer love and understanding instead of judgment and condemnation. 4. Self-compassion. Often, we are much harsher on ourselves than on others. Self-compassion is about treating ourselves with the same care and kindness that we would offer a close friend. This includes forgiving ourselves for mistakes, acknowledging our struggles, and practicing self-love. Self-compassion allows us to heal and grow, which in turn enables us to extend that love to others. A story of compassion. There is a story in the Jataka tales, the stories of the Buddha's previous lives, about a time when the Buddha was born as a wise king. This king encountered a poor man who had nothing to eat and was starving. The king, seeing the man's suffering, ordered a feast to be prepared and invited the man to join him. When the man sat down to eat, he was so overcome with gratitude that he cried. The king, moved by the man's sorrow, said, "Do not cry. Your suffering is my suffering, and I share your joy as well. Today, we are both nourished." This story illustrates how compassion and loving kindness are not limited to grand gestures. Even in the smallest actions, such as offering a meal to someone in need, we can express deep compassion and change lives. Reflection questions. How can you begin to cultivate more loving kindness in your life? Is there anyone you need to forgive, either in your past or present, in order to cultivate more peace and compassion? What are some small acts of kindness you can offer today, both to yourself and others? By practicing compassion and loving kindness, we create a world that is not only more peaceful but also more connected. These practices help us break down the barriers of separation and build bridges of love and understanding. They remind us that, no matter our differences, we all share the same longing for happiness and freedom from suffering. 7. Let go of attachments. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the concept of attachment and its role in creating suffering. The Buddha taught that attachment, whether to material possessions, relationships, or even ideas and beliefs, leads to suffering. This is because everything in life is impermanent, and when we cling to things that are fleeting, we create an illusion of security that ultimately crumbles. Understanding attachment. In Buddhism, attachment is not just about clinging to physical possessions, it also includes emotional attachments and attachments to certain outcomes, identities, and even ideas about who we are. These attachments bind us to the cycle of samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, where we are constantly seeking fulfillment but never finding lasting satisfaction. The Buddha explained that all things in life are impermanent, anicca, and because of this, it's impossible to hold on to anything forever. Whether it's a loved one, a job, or an idea of success, everything changes with time. When we are attached to something, we suffer when it inevitably changes or is lost. The dangers of attachment. When we become attached to things, we develop a false sense of ownership and control. We mistakenly believe that our happiness depends on having or holding on to certain things. However, this attachment often leads to fear of loss. Attachment generates anxiety and fear, as we worry about losing what we have. This fear can cause us to grasp even more tightly to things, creating more suffering. Expectations. Attachment also fuels expectations. We may expect others to behave in a certain way, or we may expect certain outcomes from situations. When these expectations aren't met, we experience frustration, disappointment, or anger. Craving and aversion. Attachment is closely linked to the two primary causes of suffering in Buddhism: craving, desire, and aversion to pain or discomfort. When we are attached to something, we crave it, and when we lose it or it doesn't meet our expectations, we feel aversion or disappointment. The wisdom of non-attachment. Non-attachment does not mean that we should abandon relationships or stop enjoying life. It simply means that we should stop clinging to things as if they define us or guarantee our happiness. Non-attachment is the wisdom of understanding that life is constantly changing, and nothing in this world can provide lasting satisfaction or security. By practicing non-attachment, we cultivate a deep sense of freedom. We no longer depend on external conditions for our happiness. Instead, we develop an inner peace that remains unaffected by the ups and downs of life. How to practice letting go of attachments. 1. Cultivate mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment. When we are mindful, we can observe our attachments without judgment and see how they arise. This awareness helps us loosen our grip on things and let them go more easily. For example, if you feel attached to a material possession, take a moment to examine your attachment. Ask yourself why you feel you need this object or why it brings you comfort. Recognizing that this object is impermanent can help you release the attachment without fear of loss. 2. Embrace impermanence. One of the most powerful ways to release attachment is to meditate on the impermanence of all things. In Buddhism, we call this anicca. Everything we hold dear will change, whether it's our health, relationships, or possessions. By accepting the impermanent nature of all things, we can stop grasping at them and learn to enjoy them without the need to hold on forever. A simple way to practice this is through impermanence meditation, where you reflect on the fact that nothing lasts forever. You can meditate on the changing nature of your breath, your thoughts, or the world around you. As you do, remind yourself that everything is in constant flux. 3. Simplify your life. One practical way to let go of attachments is to simplify your life by decluttering. Often, the more possessions we have, the more attached we become to them. By removing unnecessary items from your life, you can create space for greater freedom and peace of mind. Start by identifying items or even relationships that no longer serve you or that you feel overly attached to. Letting go of physical possessions can help you practice detachment and create room for more meaningful experiences. 4. Practice gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to attachment. When we are grateful for what we have, we are less likely to cling to it out of fear of losing it. Gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to what we already possess, helping us appreciate the present moment. You can start a daily gratitude practice, where you reflect on the things you are thankful for. This can help you develop a sense of contentment and ease, reducing the desire to hold on to things tightly. 5. Release control. Another key aspect of attachment is the need to control situations and outcomes. The Buddha taught that much of our suffering arises from trying to control things that are beyond our control. By learning to surrender and trust the flow of life, we release the need for control and embrace the beauty of uncertainty. You can practice releasing control by allowing situations to unfold naturally, without trying to force a particular outcome. Trust that life will work out as it should, and focus on responding to situations with mindfulness and grace, rather than controlling them. 6. Forgive and let go. Often, attachment involves holding on to past hurts or grudges. We become attached to feelings of resentment or anger, and this attachment poisons our peace. Forgiveness is a powerful way to release these attachments and find freedom. Take time to reflect on any grudges you may be holding, and consider the possibility of forgiving those who have wronged you. Remember that forgiveness is not for the other person, it is for your own peace of mind. A story of letting go. The Buddha once told a story about a man who was carrying a heavy load of sticks. As he walked, he grew tired and complained about the burden. A wise person approached and asked, "Why don't you put the load down?" The man replied, "But I've been carrying this load for so long. I can't let it go now." The wise person responded, "The burden is only heavy because you continue to carry it. If you let go, the load will no longer weigh you down." This story illustrates the concept of attachment. We often carry emotional burdens, resentment, regret, fear, simply because we refuse to let them go. By practicing non-attachment, we can put down these burdens and experience freedom and peace. Reflection questions. What are some things in your life that you feel overly attached to? How can you begin to release your attachment to these things, knowing that they are impermanent? In what ways can you practice embracing the flow of life, rather than trying to control it? Letting go of attachments is not a process of denial or abandonment, but rather an act of liberation. It is the wisdom of recognizing that true peace and happiness come from within, not from external things. By releasing our attachments, we create space for deeper joy, freedom, and connection with the world around us. 8. Develop compassion for yourself and others. One of the most transformative teachings in Buddhism is the practice of compassion. Compassion is not just about feeling sorry for someone else, it's about actively wishing for their well-being, happiness, and freedom from suffering. This quality is essential for a peaceful and harmonious life, and it can have a profound impact on our own happiness. What is compassion? In Buddhism, compassion, karu, is considered one of the four immeasurables, or Brahmaviharas, which are qualities of mind that cultivate an open heart and bring peace to our relationships with ourselves and others. Compassion goes beyond pity or sympathy. It is the deep desire to alleviate suffering, whether in others or in ourselves. The Buddha taught that suffering is a universal experience. Everyone, at some point, will experience pain, loss, disappointment, or fear. Compassion allows us to connect with others through our shared humanity. It allows us to transcend the barriers of ego and judgment, seeing others as they truly are, beings who, like us, seek happiness and wish to avoid suffering. Compassion for yourself. Before we can truly develop compassion for others, we must first learn to have compassion for ourselves. Many of us are quick to be hard on ourselves, criticizing our mistakes and believing that we are unworthy of love or forgiveness. This self-judgment creates inner turmoil, making it difficult to experience peace or contentment. The Buddha taught that we should not be our own enemy but rather our own ally. Self-compassion is the practice of treating ourselves with the same kindness, understanding, and care that we would offer a dear friend. Instead of berating ourselves for our mistakes or flaws, we can acknowledge them with understanding, learn from them, and move forward with a gentle heart. How to cultivate self-compassion. 1. Practice mindful self-awareness. Self-compassion begins with being aware of how we treat ourselves in our thoughts and actions. Practice mindfulness to observe your inner dialogue. Are you being kind or harsh with yourself? When you notice negative self-talk, pause and replace it with kind and compassionate words. For example, instead of saying, "I can't believe I made that mistake, I'm so stupid," try saying, "It's okay to make mistakes. I'm learning, and I can do better next time." 2. Embrace imperfection. Buddhism teaches us to embrace imperfection, both in ourselves and in others. We are all imperfect beings, and mistakes are part of the human experience. Instead of seeking perfection, we can practice self-compassion by accepting our flaws and understanding that they do not define us. We are worthy of love and kindness, regardless of our imperfections. 3. Forgive yourself. Self-compassion also involves forgiveness. If you are holding on to past regrets or mistakes, it's important to let them go. Holding on to guilt or shame only perpetuates suffering. Forgiving yourself allows you to move forward with a lighter heart. 4. Practice self-care. Taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being is another form of self-compassion. This can mean getting enough rest, eating nourishing foods, exercising, and engaging in activities that bring you joy. By nurturing yourself, you send a message that you value your own well-being. Compassion for others. Once we have cultivated compassion for ourselves, we can extend it to others. The Buddha emphasized that true compassion is not limited to those who are close to us or those we like. It should be directed towards all beings, including those we may not understand or those who may have hurt us. In Buddhism, this is called universal compassion, a love and kindness that transcends barriers of race, religion, nationality, or social status. It's about seeing all beings as interconnected and deserving of compassion, no matter their circumstances. How to cultivate compassion for others. 1. Practice loving-kindness meditation. Metta. One of the most powerful ways to develop compassion for others is through metta, loving-kindness, meditation. In this practice, you send out wishes for happiness and well-being to yourself and to others, starting with those closest to you and gradually extending to all beings. A common metta practice is to repeat the following phrases. Oh, may I be happy. Oh, may I be healthy. Oh, may I be safe. Oh, may I live with ease. After sending these wishes to yourself, you can expand them to loved ones, neutral people, and even those with whom you have conflicts. This practice helps open your heart and fosters a deep sense of connection with all beings. 2. Cultivate empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Developing empathy allows us to feel the pain of others and motivates us to act with compassion. When we see someone suffering, we don't need to fix their problems, but we can offer a listening ear, support, and kindness. To develop empathy, try to put yourself in the shoes of others. How would you feel if you were in their situation? What would bring them comfort? Even small acts of kindness, such as offering a smile or a word of encouragement, can have a profound impact. 3. Be present for others. Sometimes, compassion is simply about being present with others in their moments of suffering. We don't need to offer advice or solutions. Often, what people need most is someone to listen and acknowledge their feelings. Practice active listening when interacting with others. Rather than thinking of what to say next, focus on truly hearing what the other person is expressing. Show empathy through your body language and presence, and offer your support without judgment. 4. Let go of judgment. To develop compassion, we must also let go of judgment. When we judge others, we create separation and distance between ourselves and them. We may think that someone doesn't deserve compassion because of their actions or behaviors, but in Buddhism, we learn that all beings are capable of change and growth. By releasing judgment and practicing compassion, we can help others feel seen, valued, and understood, which can contribute to their healing and transformation. A story of compassion. The Buddha once encountered a woman named Kisa Gautami, who had lost her child. In her grief, she went to the Buddha, asking him to bring her son back to life. The Buddha responded with compassion, but rather than offering a miracle, he asked her to gather mustard seeds from any household that had not experienced death. Kisa Gautami went from house to house, only to realize that every family had suffered loss. In this way, she came to understand that death is a natural part of life and that her grief was shared by all. The Buddha's compassionate guidance led her to a deeper understanding of the impermanence of life, and she was able to find peace in her suffering. This story reminds us that compassion is not just about alleviating pain in the moment, but about helping others understand and accept the nature of life itself. Reflection questions. How do you currently treat yourself when you make mistakes or experience difficulties? What are some ways you can practice self-compassion in your daily life? Can you think of any ways to extend compassion to others, even those with whom you may have disagreements or conflicts? How can you integrate compassion into your daily interactions with family, friends, and strangers? Conclusion: the power of compassion. Developing compassion is a lifelong practice, but it has the power to transform our hearts and minds. It helps us build deeper connections with others and fosters a sense of inner peace. By practicing compassion for ourselves and others, we move closer to the Buddha's teachings on love, wisdom, and the end of suffering. 9. Practice detachment and letting go. In our daily lives, we often find ourselves clinging to things, whether it's possessions, relationships, ideas, or emotions. However, Buddhism teaches us that attachment is one of the main causes of suffering. The Buddha's teachings on detachment are not about rejecting the world or disengaging from life, but about understanding that attachment to temporary things leads to pain. What is detachment? Detachment in Buddhism refers to letting go of attachment and recognizing the impermanence of all things. It is about freeing ourselves from the belief that our happiness depends on external conditions. When we hold on to things too tightly, we create expectations and desires, and when those things change or are lost, we experience pain and suffering. Buddhism does not ask us to stop caring for things or people, but to practice non-attachment, an understanding that while we may enjoy and value them, we do not define ourselves by them. The nature of attachment. The Buddha taught that attachment arises from the three poisons: greed, hatred, and ignorance. We become attached to things because we desire them. Greed, we want to avoid things we dislike. Hatred, and we are ignorant of the impermanent nature of all things. These attachments manifest in various ways. Attachments to possessions. We may believe that the things we own define us and give us security, but they are all temporary. When we lose them, we experience anxiety and grief. Attachments to people. We may become overly reliant on others for our happiness and well-being, leading to fear of abandonment or rejection. Attachments to ideas. Holding on to rigid beliefs or expectations can lead to frustration when things don't go as planned. The Buddha's teaching on impermanence, anicca. In Buddhism, the concept of anicca, impermanence, is central to understanding the nature of attachment. The Buddha taught that everything in life is impermanent, nothing lasts forever, and everything is subject to change. This includes our thoughts, emotions, relationships, possessions, and even our bodies. Recognizing impermanence helps us release our attachment to things that we know will change or eventually disappear. By accepting change as a natural part of life, we can learn to be at peace with loss and disappointment, knowing that nothing is permanent. How to practice detachment and letting go. 1. Mindful awareness of attachment. The first step in practicing detachment is to become aware of our attachments. Notice the things, people, or situations that cause you to feel anxiety, fear, or desire. When you become attached, ask yourself why you feel so strongly about this particular thing. What do you think you would lose if it were gone? This awareness can help you loosen your grip on attachment. 2. Embrace the present moment. Often, attachment arises because we focus too much on the past or future. We might cling to memories of past events or worry about what may happen in the future. The Buddha taught that the only moment we truly have is the present. By practicing mindfulness and staying rooted in the present moment, we can reduce attachment to past regrets and future anxieties. A simple practice is to take a few deep breaths and return your focus to the here and now. Notice your surroundings, your sensations, and your thoughts without judgment. This helps you detach from external distractions and cultivate peace within yourself. 3. Cultivate the wisdom of non-attachment. When we develop the wisdom of impermanence, we begin to see that nothing in this world is permanent. People, experiences, and things will all come and go. Instead of trying to hold on to them, we can embrace the beauty of their presence without clinging. This allows us to enjoy the present moment without fear of loss. 4. Letting go of control. Often, our attachment arises because we want to control the outcome of situations or relationships. However, the more we try to control, the more we create stress and dissatisfaction. Practicing non-attachment involves letting go of the need to control everything and accepting that some things are beyond our influence. In difficult situations, you can practice detachment by saying to yourself, "I cannot control everything, but I can control how I respond." Trust that life will unfold as it should, and focus on cultivating inner peace regardless of the outcome. 5. Use the power of gratitude. When we feel attached to something, we often feel as if we cannot live without it. A practice that helps counteract attachment is gratitude. Take time each day to reflect on the things you appreciate in your life, whether they are material possessions or intangible qualities like love, health, or wisdom. By recognizing what you have in the present moment, you begin to let go of the need for more or for things to remain the same. 6. Practice giving. One powerful way to release attachment is to practice generosity. When we hold on to things tightly, it is often because we feel that they define us or that we lack what we need. By giving freely of our resources, whether material or emotional, we let go of the belief that we are defined by what we possess. This act of letting go can be deeply freeing. You can start small, by donating clothes, time, or simply offering a kind word to someone in need. 7. Understand the role of emotions. Emotions like anger, jealousy, or desire are often tied to attachment. These emotions arise when we feel that something is lacking or threatened. Recognize that emotions are temporary and that they do not define who you are. When emotions arise, acknowledge them without attachment. Allow yourself to experience them fully, but then let them pass without holding on to them. A story of detachment. The Buddha once told a story about a young man named Nakula. Nakula had a beautiful wife, and he was deeply in love with her. One day, she fell ill and died, and Nakula was devastated by the loss. He came to the Buddha, seeking comfort. The Buddha explained to him that life is full of change and that attachments to people, no matter how close, are inevitably subject to the law of impermanence. The Buddha encouraged Nakula to practice detachment, not in the sense of rejecting love or relationships, but in recognizing that the pain of attachment is alleviated when we accept the impermanence of all things. This teaching helped Nakula find peace in his grief. Reflection questions. What are some of the things or people in your life that you feel overly attached to? How does attachment create fear or anxiety in your life? What can you do today to practice letting go of something you're holding onto too tightly? How can the wisdom of impermanence help you find peace when faced with loss or change? Conclusion: the freedom of detachment. Practicing detachment and letting go is not about denying the importance of relationships, possessions, or experiences. It's about understanding their temporary nature and freeing ourselves from the need to control or possess them. By practicing detachment, we experience greater peace, joy, and freedom. We learn to live fully in the present moment, without fear of loss or clinging to what we cannot keep. 10. Cultivate compassion and loving kindness. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the development of compassion, karu, and loving kindness, metta. These qualities are not only essential for our own peace and happiness but also for creating harmony and understanding in the world around us. The Buddha taught that by nurturing these qualities, we can transcend self-centeredness and open our hearts to others, transforming both ourselves and the world. What is compassion and loving kindness? Compassion is the ability to feel deep empathy and a desire to alleviate the suffering of others. It is not simply feeling sorry for someone but actively wanting to help ease their pain, whether physical, emotional, or mental. Loving kindness, on the other hand, is the wish for all beings to be happy, free from suffering, and to experience peace and joy. It is an unconditional love that transcends personal interests or attachments. While compassion focuses on alleviating suffering, loving kindness focuses on cultivating a sincere wish for others' well-being. These qualities are interrelated. Compassion arises from recognizing the suffering of others, while loving kindness is the expression of love and goodwill toward others. Together, they form the foundation of Buddhist practice and are essential for living a life of peace, harmony, and fulfillment. The importance of compassion and loving kindness in Buddhism. In Buddhism, cultivating compassion and loving kindness is considered a vital practice for spiritual development. The Buddha himself was known for his immense compassion and kindness toward all beings, regardless of their social status, wealth, or background. His life and teachings serve as a reminder that true happiness comes not from seeking personal gain but from offering love and support to others. The Buddha outlined the four immeasurables, which include loving kindness, compassion, empathetic joy, and equanimity. These are qualities to be developed and perfected on the path to enlightenment. Cultivating them helps us overcome the suffering of attachment, anger, and ignorance, leading to a more peaceful and meaningful life. The benefits of compassion and loving kindness. 1. Personal peace and happiness. When we extend compassion and loving kindness, we begin to free ourselves from negative emotions like resentment, anger, and jealousy. These emotions arise when we focus on ourselves and our own desires. By focusing on the well-being of others, we open our hearts, which in turn brings us a sense of peace and fulfillment. 2. Improved relationships. Compassion and loving kindness are transformative in relationships. When we act with genuine care and kindness toward others, we foster deeper, more meaningful connections. This can improve both personal and professional relationships, creating an atmosphere of trust, respect, and mutual support. 3. Greater empathy and understanding. Compassion teaches us to understand others' suffering and to respond with empathy rather than judgment. It enables us to connect with people on a deeper level, allowing us to see beyond their flaws and limitations and recognize their inherent worth as human beings. 4. Positive impact on the world. By cultivating compassion and loving kindness, we contribute to the collective well-being of society. These qualities have the power to heal divisions, foster peace, and create a more harmonious world. Small acts of kindness ripple out into the world, inspiring others to do the same. How to cultivate compassion and loving kindness. 1. Start with yourself. compassion and loving kindness must begin with ourselves. It is difficult to offer love and kindness to others if we do not first cultivate it within ourselves. Begin by treating yourself with love, patience, and understanding. This self-compassion allows you to extend the same kindness to others without depleting your own energy. Practice self-care, affirm your worth, and forgive yourself for past mistakes. When you develop a healthy relationship with yourself, it becomes easier to radiate love and compassion toward others. 2. Practice loving-kindness meditation. Metta bhavana. One of the most effective ways to cultivate loving-kindness is through metta bhavana, a form of meditation focused on developing love and goodwill toward all beings. The practice involves silently repeating phrases such as, "Oh, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I live with ease. Oh, may all beings be happy, may all beings be healthy, may all beings be safe, may all beings live with ease." You begin by directing these wishes of goodwill toward yourself, and then gradually extend them to others, including loved ones, neutral people, and even those you may have conflicts with. Eventually, you extend these wishes to all beings in the world. Metta meditation helps train the mind to soften toward others, cultivating a heart filled with love and compassion. It can be practiced daily, either as a formal meditation session or informally throughout the day. 3. Engage in acts of kindness. Compassion and loving kindness are not just abstract concepts, they must be practiced through action. Look for opportunities to help others, whether it's a simple act like holding the door for someone, listening to a friend in need, or volunteering in your community. The Buddha emphasized that generosity is an essential practice for developing compassion. When we share our time, resources, or love with others, we reduce attachment to self-centered desires and cultivate a sense of interconnectedness with all beings. 4. Cultivate empathy through reflection. To develop compassion, it's important to understand the nature of suffering. Reflect on the suffering of others, whether it's physical pain, emotional distress, or the struggles people face in their daily lives. By understanding their pain, you can develop a deep sense of empathy and a sincere desire to help alleviate it. Consider situations where others may be suffering, whether it's a friend going through a difficult time or a stranger facing hardship. Take a moment to reflect on their experience and recognize their humanity. This reflection can help you develop a genuine desire to ease their suffering. 5. Challenge negative emotions. Compassion doesn't mean we always agree with or condone others' actions, but it means we respond to others with kindness and understanding, even when they may behave in ways we find difficult or hurtful. When you encounter negative emotions like anger or judgment, pause and reflect before reacting. Try to see the situation from the other person's perspective and approach them with compassion rather than criticism. 6. Forgive and let go of resentment. Holding on to grudges and resentment blocks the flow of compassion and loving kindness. The Buddha taught that forgiveness is key to releasing suffering. When we forgive, we release ourselves from the weight of anger and resentment, making room for love and understanding. Forgiveness doesn't mean we condone harmful actions, but it allows us to let go of the emotional burden they create. When we forgive, we set ourselves free and create space for healing and compassion to flourish. A story of compassion. There is a well-known story in Buddhism about the Buddha and the angry man. One day, an angry man approached the Buddha, hurling insults and abuse. The Buddha calmly asked him, "If someone offers you a gift and you refuse to accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man replied, "It belongs to the person who offered it." The Buddha then said, "In the same way, if you offer me your anger and I do not accept it, it remains with you." This teaching demonstrates that the Buddha did not respond to anger with anger. Instead, he practiced compassion and loving kindness, teaching that we do not have to accept the negative emotions others try to project onto us. Reflection questions. How do you currently show compassion and loving kindness to others in your life? What are some ways you can cultivate these qualities in your daily routine? Are there any relationships in your life where you need to practice more empathy or forgiveness? How can you use your own suffering to cultivate a deeper understanding and compassion for others? Conclusion: the transformative power of compassion. Cultivating compassion and loving kindness is a transformative practice that can change your life and the lives of others. It brings inner peace, strengthens relationships, and helps create a world where kindness and understanding prevail. By embracing the Buddha's teachings on compassion, we learn to transcend self-centeredness and develop an open, loving heart toward all beings. This is the true path to happiness and freedom. Conclusion. Throughout this journey toward freedom and inner peace, the teachings of the Buddha on courage, compassion, and powerful habits can help us build unshakable self-confidence. By applying these Buddhist principles in our daily lives, we not only navigate through challenges and hardships, but also experience true peace and happiness. Powerful habits like meditation, cultivating compassion, releasing negative stress, and living with gratitude help us nurture confidence from within, rather than seeking it from external validation. The key lies in aligning our lives with these principles, which can transform how we respond to life's inevitable ups and downs. By practicing mindfulness, developing emotional resilience, and embracing simplicity, we gradually strengthen our mental clarity and emotional stability. As you embark on this path, remember that transformation doesn't happen overnight. It is a continuous process of growth, reflection, and practice. With patience and dedication, you can integrate these Buddhist habits into your life and start seeing profound shifts in your inner world, leading to a more confident, compassionate, and peaceful version of yourself. The true path to self-improvement isn't about perfection but rather about embracing each step, no matter how small, and cultivating the wisdom to grow through life's challenges. As you move forward, remember that every moment offers an opportunity for learning and growth. Let the wisdom of the Buddha guide you, and you will find yourself steadily moving toward the best version of yourself.